technical problems. How are you? How are you? Good. So far, so good. Is this keyboard gonna work? Do they have it? If you die, they can send you numbers. Yeah. Not anymore. You die. If I get this from back. How are you? Yeah. Half of the people did not get the page, so we might have, some people didn't get reminder, I think. But we are good. I was expecting maybe 3, 4 people, that's all. Hello, how are you? Yeah. Is it better or worse? Better? All right, that's good. Celeste is not feeling good, so we prepared everything. Good morning. Basically, we have almost everything brand new and 99% everything revised. Maybe there are only 3 or 4 old forms. I was at a grad course a couple days ago. They canceled once and it was so quick we couldn't postpone this today. I'm learning with you because it was 2 days ago that I didn't have enough time to read the material all over again. But not so many changes are as important as we think it will be. I'm going to go over on every form. There are a lot of brand new forms. I don't know why they make these forms. I don't know. They sit down every the end of the year. They want to create some new forms. I think they have a reason for it. Agreement of purchase and sale, condo or freehold. They only change 2 words, which is not very important for you to know, but it's lawyers, requisition. Now the lawyers can close between 2 lawyers. It's like US, escrow, word of escrow, they use it in US. Before, lawyer or the clerk used to go to the registry office to close the deal, meet with the other lawyer, get the keys. Now everything is electronic. Obviously, they don't meet anymore. They make arrangement with Uber or delivery company for the keys and the check, or even wiring now. So they put a word in the second page that buyers and sellers agree. If there is no indication in the lawyers, let's say when you hire a lawyer, if they don't tell you, do you want us to close the deal regularly? If you say yes, there is no changes. If they say no, we want manually, then you may not get closed anymore on date because things are different. It's not like before. So they put closing can be done in lawyer's office on a Friday afternoon, and the keys will be delivered between them. So you have nothing to worry about it. In the event the deal doesn't close for any computer glitch or unforeseen problems, then it will be next business day. But everything will be done in lawyer's office. You get your key on Friday, not on Monday. So don't worry about that part. And second thing is they change a word on notices. Before it was only telephone, now it's telecommunication. Big deal, right? So everything has to be done by telecommunication, by way of email. They didn't have that. The same thing applies for condo. Amendment to agreement of purchase and sale, very minor 1-word change, you won't even notice it. Waiver, notice of fulfillment, they are all brand new, they changed, revised, these are not new but revised. Notice of fulfillment, seller's acknowledgement. That's a new form. Referral is changed. Listing agreement is modified. I will show you. Residential information checklist. It's a new form from last year. They modified it. Agreement to lease. There is some modification. Landlord customer service agreement, brand new. We'll go over it. Landlord buyer representation agreement. Tenant representation agreement. We never had it before. I think tenants got jealous. They say, how come the buyers have and we don't? So, they were complaining maybe. So that's the tenant customer service. We had a buyer customer now, and residential clause sheets. So there are 6 new clauses, and 2 of them does not apply to today's class. It's a commercial, land lease, and environmental. Only there is 4 of them that I'm going to go over with you. Let me close this door together. Everything is the same. If you know how to fill this form, you don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to waste too much time because I have a lot of material to cover. Except the lawyers requisition closing the deal on escrow or in their office and the telecommunication world. Any question about filling this form? Like when you are on your own, if there is no Brenda, no your, do you need any help? Anything about irrevocable date? Anything about the Schedule A's? Nothing to do with new or revised. This is actually revised 2019. Every form has the number and also revision date. So if you're not sure, check it. You must use always up-to-date forms or new forms. Anything in your briefcase, get rid of it because 99% of the forms revised and new this year. They never made this much of a change before.
Do they get automatically changed?
Yes, they are already on web forms, but we have some. I told the girls downstairs they're gonna check everything, and anything is old 2018 that has to be 2019. They're gonna change it. Some people use the shelving over here. Now, any question about this form? Anything about presentation, irrevocable date, sign back, anything at all? No, well, that's good. Schedule A, this is the same for condominiums. There is few clauses extra. There is another form in between these two. There is freehold, there is condo, and there is another one, do we know? You don't use it very, no, commercial is for commercial only. We use another form for another form for residential. Do we know what it is? It's something called POTL, P-O-T-L. Now, what is that? A lot of townhouses, when they don't have large enough, wide enough streets, or the land was such that they couldn't develop it bigger, they use freehold townhouses, but they put a portion of the garbage collection and snow cleaning as maintenance. So you pay usually $80, $90 a month or $100 a month usually. And there is a management company that looks after road cleaning and garbage pickup because city doesn't do that. You have to hire your own, and that's called POTL. And when you are selling one of those properties, listing form is the same, but agreement of purchase and sale is different. You don't use the regular freehold because it's not a regular freehold. You don't use condominium, it's not a condominium. It only draws our management privately, and there is a section for your maintenance fee and some different clauses in there. Okay, so there is POTL, P-O-T-L. Yes.
What's the form number?
I will get you that one. I had it in here, but there was no changes on that, so I didn't put it in. I'll get you that.
So it's just an extra clause, not get an extra.
There is extra clause, and there is also a paragraph for maintenance fee. Okay, because your unit is not condominium. Only the roads and the areas are condominium, not condominium, but managed by under the condominium act. Amendment. I will come back to this when I'm talking about waivers and fulfillment, because most people use this as part of their removal of condition, which is not right. We'll get back to this. Not too many changes. Waiver, this is also brand new. They only change one small word and they make it not new but revised. And notice of fulfillment. Now we are about, what, 20 people here. Do we know the difference between waiver and notice of fulfillment? Yes. They both do the same thing at different times. Who doesn't know? You don't know. You don't know. Okay, you don't know. Okay. Now, let's go back to waiver. 99% of the time, everyone uses this because everybody remembers waiver and they don't remember notice of fulfillment. It's a good form. You should use it, but there are different times that you should not use this, but you use fulfillment. When we have 2 or 3 conditions, usually in agreement of purchase and sale. If it's a freehold, we have financing for 5 days. and we also have inspection for 5 days. There are times we might have lawyer's review, that's the third one. And there are other times maybe insurance, depending the house if it's old. No matter how many conditions you have, you can waive them all in here, or you should not waive them all in here. Maybe you should have some of them fulfilled, some of them in here. And I tell you the difference. If you have a condition on inspection, the buyer decides not to do the inspection. He says, you know what, the day we were viewing the property, I had my father-in-law, he is Italian background, he knows all the construction and stuff. I'm not gonna spend $500, $600. I am happy with it, right? So they are not doing the inspection. What should you use? This, fulfillment, or this? Waiver. Yeah, because the condition was not fulfilled, right? The same with mortgage. You have a mortgage condition, they go on their own. You don't know whether they went to the bank, they went to the private mortgage department or a broker, they went to their relatives to collect the money, or they have money, they have their bank account full of, you know, whatever they need, and they somehow they didn't tell you, but they don't need a mortgage. If you don't have anything in writing or verification from a mortgage company or from a mortgage broker, you use this. Yes.
Don't they have to fill out the form 127?
Saying what?
Where they waive, we have to sign
That's
it
coming
initial.
too. They don't have to. They don't have to. Under different circumstances, they do. Sometimes they don't have to. So if it's a waiver, you don't know whether they went to the bank or privately they got their mortgage or they have their own funds. You use this. The same for everything. The status certificate, it says lawyer's approval, they get the status certificate, they don't go to the lawyer, so they tell you we are good with it. He could be, there is a lawyer in the family that you don't know, so you use this. Anything that you know for sure, because the inspection was done while you were there, you are the buyer's agent, if there is an inspection book, you have to be there for that 3 hours time. So you were witness to the inspection, and the inspector say, really, it's a beautiful home, there is very minor small things, you know, like touch up here, touch up there, and maybe one of the electrical plug is not working, $1.25 from Canadian Tire. The inspection was done, then I prefer to use this because your condition is fulfilled, all right? But under no circumstances, use amendment. I will tell you why. Some people, they have a roof issue. The inspector goes and says, we have a roof problem. First of all, my personal advice, how you do your business is different. If you have a 5 days condition, Talma, welcome. I'm going to go over some new forms, but I'm just going one by. These are all revised, by the way. Okay, everything that you see today, revised or brand new. There is nothing old anymore. They changed 99%. So the advice I like to give you is when you have a 5 days condition, do not leave your conditions 3 days, 4 days, and do it less day. There is a negotiation period you should have in your hand. That's your weapon. You leave it for less day, then you may end up using this, which is not very good form to take conditions away. You got the offer accepted today, your condition starts tomorrow. Book your inspection or go to the mortgage department of your, either in Royal Page or mortgage broker or a bank, get your approval. Then you have a lot of time for negotiation. What happens is this, if we get a mortgage approval within 3 days, if we get the inspection done within 3 days, we still have, without the weekends, you still have the luxury of the weekends too. Without the weekends, we have another 2 extra days. Now, in a case, there is a roof issue or furnace issue or basement issue, you want your buyer to have a reduction on the price, 10,000, 5,000, 25,000, regardless of the price. Now, if you have luxury of time, you can delete the price and then insert a new price as per your inspection report and say that due to inspection report attached, you can put it there and send it to them. Now they have 2 days to read that and to accept that, all right? So you did your work and you're waiting an answer now. If they accept the price or the changes, whatever they are, then you can send your waiver or fulfillment. If they do not, you still have maybe a few hours or another day to go back and forth. You put 15,000, they say, no, we are not going to give you more than 7. Now you go back 10,000, now you got the deal. Now this way, your conditions are still in the offer. This will not change anything. By the way, this says irrevocability. Everybody has to sign the date that you're sending it. So if I was sending something today, I will make it irrevocable till midnight. But I still have tomorrow to worry about it, right? My conditions are good until tomorrow. So when they accept this, then you get your waiver or fulfillment and you send it. Now what happens in a different scenario? You wait until the 5th day. Your inspection is not done. You're doing it this morning, but your conditions in the offer expires today. You wait, the mortgage department, they didn't call you from the bank or mortgage broker. So there are 2 pending conditions. 3 o'clock this afternoon, 4 o'clock this afternoon, inspection is done. Everything is satisfactory, we are assuming. That's good, then you waive it. But condition comes, inspection comes, you need a new roof, you need a new furnace. Now there is a negotiation of $15,000 to $20,000. How the hell are you going to manage between 5 to 11 or 11:59 to negotiate with the seller, especially with the weather like yesterday? People were coming home at 7, 8 o'clock. You only have 4 hours left. How are you going to delete the price, insert a new price, and before 12 o'clock, they're going to see it, they're going to sign it, you're going to go back and forth if you need to, and 1 minute before midnight, you have to send the waiver. So it doesn't happen. It's not that easy. You may have an internet problem. You may have an electricity problem. Yesterday, most of Torrent Hill, they didn't have lights. So the solution you have to save the deal, you waive your condition here, you delete them, and then you insert your price. Now, the listing agent is good because he's going to say they are serious. They're going to buy the house. If you are asking $15,000 reduction, they're not going to give you. They're going to give you half of it or none of it. Now you're waiving, you're deleting your conditions there. You know what the problem is with that? If anything comes up after closing, 6 months, 5 months, 1 year, you want to sue the seller because he was misrepresenting some stuff. You want to sue the home inspector because he missed other stuff, he didn't tell you the truth. When you go to court with this, that you delete the conditions, the court looks at it, the conditions were never in the offer because it's deleted. Anything you delete, it comes out of the offer. Anything is waived or fulfilled, you're doing what you were supposed to do. So you have the option open to sue somebody. With this, you're wasting your time because the judge is going to look at it. He says, why did you delete it? So it was never there. It looks like you never put a condition. Is it clear? Yeah. Any question?
Can you add it, or can you amend the irrevocable time in order to?
Well, no, you can't because irrevocable time on this, nothing yet. You have to amend the conditions irrevocable time, not this one. If your condition expiring tonight, you have to send a brand new amendment for your condition, asking them to make it till tomorrow night. You see? But the listing people are not stupid over there. If I am on the other side, I will say, why are they, first of all, I hate to give extension. And if you are on the listing side, be careful. If a buyer cannot qualify within 5 plus 2 weekends, days, 7 days, 7 gross days, I think that buyer is going to have a problem when you give them another 5 days. Why I'm not going to qualify the first 5 days? If I'm going to too many mortgage brokers, that means I have a credit issue, or I don't have enough down payment, or I couldn't pass the stress test. Now, whether you give me another week, it's not going to change anything. So if I am on the listing side, if somebody comes to me for an extension, unless there is a very reasonable reason, very important reason, I wouldn't accept it. I would ask my seller, it's your choice, but if you are asking my advice, if this guy had a problem within a week, he will go have another problem next week. So this is me, okay? Well, depending the market, it doesn't matter. The market is there, unless the house doesn't qualify for the price appraisal, right? So why would I give another week to somebody that they didn't qualify within the first week? Why they didn't do their inspection? You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to give dates, extra dates. So you have to deal with the condition at that time to extend, right? Yes.
Good question. And so the amendments are only there, if I understand it correctly, to revise the conditions.
Yes, and also the amendment is only there for everything else, but not to remove the condition.
Okay.
You can have other things. Yes, you can have other things. The amendment is a very good form, by the way. I'm not saying don't use it to remove condition. Don't delete, because this doesn't have a waiver. It has delete and insert. Now, what else can you use for? Changing a closing date. You cannot use anything but this. Changing the appliances. There was a mistake in the offer. You do this. Okay?
Almost an insert.
Yeah, delete and insert, but something that buyer's name.
Buyer's name, yeah, exactly. Question: who should sign it?
Who should sign?
Yes.
When there is a buyer's change,
yeah,
everybody has to sign it. Let's say you had the husband and wife, or you had only husband or the wife. Now, because of the mortgage qualification, they want two names in there. So what I would do, I would delete Gregory. If I'm inserting my wife, I would insert Gregory and Florence. Now, since her name is being deleted, she has to sign everything all over again. All right? Now, there is a very fine line in there. Be careful. I am deleting Gregory and I'm inserting Florence. I'm not there anymore. I have to sign. She has to sign. What else do we have to do? Now she is getting the title. Pardon? No, this is on the purchase. What else we have to do? This could be not your wife or a spouse or husband. It could be your brother-in-law that you're giving it, right? Because you didn't qualify. The seller is accepting somebody else's qualification. What else we have to do? I tell you. When a third party is being inserted because the original buyer is out and he's not going to be in, I would recommend you should take the agreement of purchase and sale and go over it, and also have initial, the bottom of every page, no signature. This is only for you, for your file, for buyer's agent's file. Don't give it to the lawyer, don't give it to the listing agent, keep it in your file, not even to the office. But I want to make sure that the new buyer is aware that he is buying a $1.2 million home with a 40-foot frontage and $100,000 deposit and closing March. Or else you make him sign this on closing date. If there is an issue, he says, what am I doing here? Like, how much do you need this? What am I buying? I never seen the house. Nobody told me what am I getting with this house. They could create an issue. So you have to get initial on every page. That's the safest way. So they cannot say to you, why didn't you tell the buyer that there is a like 40 foot? He was expecting 50 foot. This buyer is different than the other one. So you have to go over and keep that in your file. Yes.
If 5 days expire and then buyer sends some other seller not answer, what happens?
The offer dies. Now you're either going to try brand new, or you cannot resurrect an expired offer. That was only done once. If we believe about Jesus, he got resurrected. So the rest of us, we cannot believe in that, okay? So we cannot resurrect that offer. And some lawyers, this is I'm hearing as a second-hand information. I never had a lawyer tell me directly, saying that notwithstanding the expiry date of this agreement by amendment, okay, now all parties agree that to extend the condition for another 3 days. But this is happening after midnight tonight. I don't like that. When something is dead at midnight, 11:59 today, and nobody could come to an agreement, amendment or waivers were not sent, next day that offer is dead. There is only one solution, brand new offer, with the deposit being, if it's the same parties, transfer from this account to the other account, to the new offer. Now, if they have a lawyer, they both agree with an amendment, that's their problem, because they are two lawyers working, not agents. But we, as a real estate sales people, we should not encourage them. Yeah, there was another question.
Can we go back a little bit to third party? I represent the seller.
Yes.
And the buyer changes the name. He said, oh, husband doesn't qualify, we are doing it now on daughter's
Yes.
name. How I can be sure that she knows about it all? Can I insert a clause that
Yes,
original
very good
buyer is
idea.
still responsible?
Very good idea. You can do. Well, that's an assignment. If there is no
No,
assignment,
not
you can.
assignment, just changing the names to completely different names,
Yeah.
third party.
Well, it won't be responsible because his name is being out. The only thing you can do, the new buyer hereby acknowledges and agrees that he has read and understand all part of the agreement of purchase and sale was signed originally by the other buyer. That's what I'm saying. Once you get the initial, you say to the agent, I did that already, you know, but that clause is a very good idea. Okay. All right, so now we know the waiver and fulfillment. Under what circumstances we cannot use fulfillment? There are times that you can, even you want to. Now we know if it wasn't done, inspection wasn't done, or the mortgage verification or the status certificate, we shouldn't use this. We should only use waiver. Under what circumstances we cannot use this? This can be used every time. Whether inspection was done or not, you do it. Instead of the fulfillment, you are waiving your rights. That's fine. But you cannot waive some stuff either you want it. For example, if you depend on third party's approval, now you're going to say, who's the third party? I will tell you. You cannot use this. You cannot use the other one. Every condition is differently written. If the offer you're reading, if the condition you are reading, it says this condition is inserted for the benefit of the buyer and can be waived within the prescribed time above at his sole option, you can use anytime. Now, there are times the offer is conditional on a third party's approval, not the buyer or the seller or the bank, the builder's approval on an assignment. You cannot change it. You cannot use this. And most conditions are written in a way that the seller or the buyer can waive it. It's wrong. You can't. The only time you can waive that when you have a written consent from the condominium developer or the builder. If you don't get, you don't. The buyer cannot tell you, or the seller, assigner cannot tell you, waive the condition, we are good. No, we are no good. They can tell you, waive the condition, I don't want to do inspection. That's their own. They don't want to do inspection. They are in trouble if anything wrong. They can waive the mortgage. That's their own problem. If they don't qualify on closing date, they want you to waive the condition. But if it's a third party, they are not allowed to waive it. Make sure you have something in writing wherever this third party. Another one, land development or severance. You put a condition for severance, nobody can waive that until the municipality accepts it. And I've seen so many deals within the last 10 years that we had small issues because the misunderstanding is at the sole option. It's not the sole option of the buyer or the seller. It's the sole option of the municipality. Then you should have something in writing, okay? Now, this is also revised this year. Conditions in the offer, Form 127. Beautiful form. Okay, this is not brand new, but they changed some wordings in here, okay? Now, most of the time, we have multiple offers. We used to anyway. Hopefully, they're going to come back again. And the buyers were under some kind of a pressure that, and we don't put those pressures, they are under the pressure that if you put condition, your offer is not as favored as the second one or the third one. So we don't advise that, but you have to give your opinion. You're not telling them, I want you to buy the house with no condition. You say, seller is looking for 1,100,000, and the price of the house, if you have a buyer agency, by the way, if you are dealing as a client and agent relationship, not a customer, you can talk about this. We're going to come to that. The market price shows that in the area, house is sold 1.2. Now, you're not saying this house is worth 1.2. Now, if you love this house, your wife liked it, you liked it, your kids liked it, there is one way. If there are multiple offers, you're going to be bidding on it. And by the way, this multiple offer situation could be history soon. If the new legislation comes in, they're going to have an open bid because they think it's unfair. Somebody with closed eyes saying, the agent says there are 7 offers, asking price 1.1, how much you want to give? Give him 1.2. How do you know next offer was 1.2? How do you know it was 1.15? You're giving $100,000 closed eyes. What they're gonna try to do is coming maybe, if it gets approved by the REBA, they're gonna have an open bid. So if the last offer was 1.15, you're gonna put 1.155, and you might have a chance to get. It's a little bit more fair, transparent, because everybody is taking advantage of everybody else. Okay? Yeah. So it's not up yet, but they are working on it. Now, the buyer says, I love this house, I don't want to lose it. And then you say, you know, the closing is March 31st. They want minimum 5% deposit, and advise them they can give you a bank draft. If you're going to present this offer, you have to have all the strength. You know, you can't go with a $10,000, $20,000 and then expect that you're going to get the house. And then also advise them, I always prefer to have conditions, but sellers in a position like that, when there is 7, 8, 10 offers, they prefer unconditional offers. And Mr. Buyers, I'm not suggesting you should go unconditional, but if you want the house, that's one of the way to do it. The buyers, the wives, everybody there, family is together, they say, yes, 100%, we want it, we don't want to put condition. Now, they said this when everybody was hot, and the property values were hot. How are you going to protect yourself? First of all, on every offer I typed, or I will type, again, advice, no matter what they say, you put your conditions in. If it's a inspection, financing, lawyers, put them in. When you go there to sign it, they're going to say, I asked you, Gregory, why did you have to put, my office has a policy. Don't blame on yourself. Your office is the one. The management wants us to put conditions in every offer, regardless. But it's very easy. We can just stroke this and initial it. It becomes unconditional, and it even looks better to the seller that I prefer conditional, but the buyer wants the house unconditional. So it looks better, clean. So that's one of the way. Is it really going to hold you in the court if there is a big lawsuit? No. 50-50, 70-30, we don't know. But there is one thing is going to hold you 110%, this form. Okay? This form. Now, besides that, what you're doing, I would take this with me. Property address, brokerage, buyer's name, and 127. I'm going to get a copy to read it. It says that the buyers were advised that they could go conditional. On their own will, they declined that. Arranging financing, arranging inspection, going to a lawyer, whichever other. You can create another one. Even a status certificate, which I hate to sell an apartment without a status certificate, regardless of the age of the apartment. Okay? Today there is nothing, tomorrow something comes up. I would never sell an apartment to anybody unless they sign one of these that they were told and they are going for it. So it could be insurance for aluminum wiring or well water or whatever the case. They sign this, you give them a copy and you have a copy. God forbid any issue with after 6 months after closing, you are called to the court because you are part of the problem. They sue. Lawyers are, don't forget, I mean, I have a lawyer in my family, but they hate real estate agents. Not all of them, some of them. The reason is this. On one deal, you make 50,000. On the same deal, they make 1,000. So obviously, they have to make 50 deals. You know, I have a cousin, he's a lawyer. They have to make 50 deals to make the same money. So when there is an issue, smiling lawyer to you will say, well, you know what? Your agent didn't protect you. There is not enough conditions in here to protect you. So when you have this, you have everything. So this, keep in mind. Now, there was another brand new form. Last year it came in, and this year they revised it. Seller acknowledgement. It's the same thing for the seller. Now, why you need a seller's acknowledgement? Because they are not buying. They don't need inspection. They don't need mortgage. What do they need it for? When do you think they need this? And you should use these forms. I mean, these are good forms. There are some of them I'm going to say, don't worry. But these ones, in my younger days, they didn't have it. I used to make different ones. These are new forms within maybe 3 years or 2 years. This one actually last year. It was brand new last year.
Acknowledge that seller was the condition accept or not accept.
No. That is, you refuse it, you don't accept the offer. I tell you when the sellers can use this. The sellers, sometimes they say, I'm not gonna sell my house today, and I don't even know what I am buying tomorrow, okay? Or they bought something, they put a conditional offer. Now they are waiting for their inspection or financing. They could accept this by written acknowledgement that they are aware of it, that by firming or by accepting the buyer's offer, they are giving up their rights on the backup, whatever it is. It is a condo or it is a financing issue on the condo or the house, they are waiving that right. So this can be used that time. Yes.
When sellers should be signed the.
This one, when you are working for a seller and you get an offer from a buyer's agent, another broker, if there is a firm offer on your table, and then there is condition, but the conditions are for the favor of the buyer, they can make it firm any day. Then if you have any issues with the seller that the buyers don't know, then you can use this. Issues such as you put a conditional offer on the other end, it may go through, it may not go through. So by signing this, you're freeing the seller's listing agent, in other words, okay? Because I told you, when you sign this, that means that condition, whether happens or not, this offer is gone. That's it. You sold your house. Or don't accept it. You know what I mean? Come put a condition in there. This offer is acceptance of this offer is conditional by the seller for 2 business days upon receiving a notification from the purchase, whatever it is. Like you can create a basic. In real estate, one thing you have to remember, everything is so simple, yet we make it complicated. I'm not a university graduate in Canada. I was born in Turkey, and I have a high school then and a college over here. Now, obviously, my mother tongue is Turkish, and I know Armenian because I'm an Armenian descent. So what happens, people that they don't have no schooling or they do too much schooling, they make a small paragraph, 10 lines, you don't need it. In real estate, you have to write everything so simple that if you lose this paper, if I lose this paper and somebody finds it on the street, they can read and understand. That's why Toronto Real Estate or ORIA has a simple form now. You can ask your clients if they have a problem to read the agreement of purchase and sale, you can print the simplified form. It's there. Everything is like a kindergarten. My grandson says, Dada, I want to go to school. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. That's it. Now you can have this one line or you can have it 25 line. You know, you can give reasons why. So make it so simple, understanding both sides. Everybody has to understand that. Okay? Don't make it complicated. And you don't even need to be a lawyer or accountant. That's all. So that's an advice, by the way. Now, we are going on seller service forms, seller services form, residential. There is always a commercial, but today's topic is residential. Beautiful form. I give you the form number. Form number, where are you?
280.
There you go, 280, right? Exactly. So the top part applies for everything. This one is maybe a little bit more elaborated. This one is different than up, but the top part is for everything. Now, this is all for you when you're talking to the seller to get information and put it there about the house, about the seller, because one day there are some listings that won't sell right away. There are listings that they stay on the market. So now you have to go back to this once in a while. Let me get the form out so I can be a bit more specific.
Does this replace the SPIS?
No, there is another one replace the SPIS. Oh, Mary. Wasn't it this year 20 years ago? Or you prefer today? Very good. I'm coming to that. Conditions. Okay. All right. There we are. Okay. What have you done with this seller and what you're supposed to do? Number one is the working realtor. Don't forget, that's our first initiative paper. We cannot do without it. You can have 10 buyer agencies and 10 listings. If you don't go to ORIA or TREP arbitration, without, if you go there without working with realtor, your case is already 30% lost, even you have everything. Because number one, explanation, what are you doing and who are you doing for, who you are and what they are to you, okay? So they want working with a realtor as much as buyer agency or listing.
Question. If I'm relisting the same property, do I have to re-sign working of realtor or I can use the old one?
Well, that's a tricky question. If I'm using everything brand new, why not put another one in the package? Because maybe your relationship will be different this time. Maybe they're not going to be buying anymore. You know, I don't know. I would use another one. It doesn't hurt because the old one is good as long as your relationship with the seller and with those person as a buyer is the same. And you can have customer service. It's like I will out of the room here. It's a donkey I am riding, okay? Customer service. Now you can upgrade to a horse, DRA, okay? But if you have a horse, DRA, you can never downgrade to customer service. You have to be careful. Because once you have DRA with a person, whether that DRA expired and you're getting another one, it has to be DRA. It cannot be customer service anymore. Because you know everything about this person. Your duties are client, not customer anymore. But if you had originally customer and your relationship, they trust you more and you're working with them longer, then you can upgrade to horse, right? So, BRA, listing agreement, individual identification. This is very important, and now it's becoming a very strict law in our office and every offices. That's a FINTRAC, okay? You don't have it, we cannot pay you unless there is a reason why you don't have it. If people are refusing to give you information such as passport, license, or other documentation, we have an officer in the office. You can put customer or client refuse. That's it you have to do. You don't have to scare them. Or if you don't do this, they may just do that and give it. And then the rest of it, they look after it. CRA and federal government needs this form on every sale or purchase, not on the lease, okay? If we are missing this form, then the commission check will be held.
Sorry, regarding the lease, do you need a proof of fund or not?
I need
Proof of fund, like, it's similar to, like, FINTRAC.
FINTRAC.
Yeah, it's proof of fund, like, how
Yes,
did you receive
yes,
it?
yeah. That's that. If you are on the buyer side, yes, you do that. Yeah, we have a deposit information that the money was given by certified check or simple check or bank draft and the account number and the financing.
So that was necessary.
You need that, and you only keep those things in your file. You don't have to give it to the other brokerage. Now, confirmation of cooperation and representation, referral agreement is coming, and agreement of purchase and sale. So these are check marks. You are not asking anybody anything, what you're doing and what you have done so far. This is just a friendly reminder to you. And then second part, it says expanded forms, seller direction, re-property, residential market analysis, seller's property information. So these are the extended form if you need to do that or if you are doing it, okay? So that's that. But it's a good form. It's not a mandatory form. It's a good form to work with. At least if you are missing anything, you didn't check mark that, okay? Seller's direction. All right, this has been modified a lot. They change a lot of lines and a lot of wording here, but the purpose is the same. So that means you're listing your property, you're gonna hold offers. That goes right here. Until how many days, what day, what hour you're receiving it. Seller is instructing you, I want to hold offers, or you are advising him that you should, he should. Other directions, whatever it is, all right? So you have to get initials. Anywhere you see this, you need initials. And underneath is a full signature date. If a contract is made and it's not filled out properly, it's not a contract. Ontario laws does not recognize it if there is missing information. You have to have everything properly filled. So top part is the, again, company information, the seller's name and address and everything. And entry. Oh my God, there was about 20 minutes talk on this. Now there is a new rule coming again. I'm giving you today. Lockbox issues is a big problem, big problem. And now REBA is going to recommend all the brokerages to change the code of a lockbox every 72 hours. Not a week, not a month, not a year. How many of us go and change the lockbox code? Once you put the lockbox there with 1, 2, 3, 4 code number or ABC, 90%, or I would say maybe now it's more, we are more careful. 60%, agents, they leave it as that until expiry. Or if the house is vacant, people go in and out without your knowledge. Now, my principle was, when I used to work with lockboxes, first of all, I had a paper that everybody has to acknowledge the problem with the lockboxes, insurance issues or whatever. Then I would get that one signed, but that's not really going to take you out of the mess. But at least it's partial. And I would go every week to 10 days. It would be a reminder in my calendar. And the days that I was licensed, we didn't have this. We didn't even have the brick, that people have. Those things didn't have reminder. We had basically a daily diary, and I would put a reminder. I would always use, I'm still using a daily diary, even though I have that, because daily I get about 20 phone calls, some of it complaints, some of it different. I write everybody's issues and the phone number in case there is something from last year. I keep them a year more. So I go back and remind myself that, yeah, I had a call from this person, this was the problem. You cannot have it, you lose this or, something goes wrong. So I used to change the lockbox code a week to 10 days. Now, because of the bigger problems that we are having or they are having, in some cases, they're gonna put a law 3 days, 72 hours. And this form, I think you're gonna need it.
Gregory, that's not realistic.
Pardon?
Like if you have a bunch of listings,
Yeah.
and you spend most of your time running around changing up.
I know. Well, then you're gonna hire somebody to do it, or you or
Trev had in the States, they have a system that when you open the lockbox, it registers that report.
we lost $1.5 million years ago, and I lost my deposit on that too. This was about 25 years ago. Trev introduced this in a recession time. We were going to have electronic lockboxes. You open, there would be registered who's going in, what time is going in, and then it would give you a readout whenever you want it. And then next time, if this person going in without registration, you wouldn't let him do it. But it was introduced on a very wrong time. It was a recession going on. This is about 25 years ago.
That's what you need again.
Yes, $1.5 million Trev invested it, and the lockboxes were going to be, I think, $80, $90, or $100 those days. Nobody purchased them because you didn't only need the lockbox, you need the app or the system. So I put money down for that, and it's gone. So that is the best thing to do, but we don't have that yet. We don't have it. Now, this form here is. There was one agent, what I was told 2 days ago. They charged twice this agent for the same, and then they give her a warning that the third time they will take her license. The first time she was charged $5,000, and the broker was charged, the broker of company was charged $3,000. For the same reason, 3 years after, this is Hugh Roy, the Toronto Real Estate Board, one of the oldest member. He was giving the lecture. The second time, they charged her $11,000, and the broker was charged $5,000. Now they told her, and she had to take 2 other courses, law and something else. And they told her the third time, for the same reason, she has no more license. And she is not a very aged lady. She is like a young person that she has an entire life to be a real estate agent. Now, the reason is this. A guy goes to a property, home inspector, and then the lady opens the door and says, I'm Gregory, I'm doing your home inspection today. He said, where is the agent? I said, I have no idea. But I said, I start doing from outside, and then when I finish, by then probably she will be here. And then he does the outside work, the roof and everything. Yes, he goes back. He says, I did everything. Now I'm going to come in. And this lady gets a little bit suspicious. Says, if I wasn't home, how were you going to get in? Oh, he says, the agent gave me the lockbox number. That is absolutely no, 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 no. I can say 50 times no. You can't give a lockbox number without a written permission or instruction by your seller to anybody. Okay, only you have it and your company have it. Not even your colleagues in the same office. No, you shouldn't. Because you're taking this responsibility, your name is there. The sellers may have different issues with this lockbox. First of all, they have to know the responsibilities, right? You are not allowed to give the lockbox code to nobody at all. Now, appraisers, home inspectors, mortgage verification, whatever it is, they have to call the office and they have to be accompanied. Even they call the office, they make it, and you get paid. Office is not going to give nobody any lockbox. You get paid. You have to be there. Or the selling person, the other broker has to be there. Or one of your colleagues have to be there. Let's say I got called right now, I'm here, and there has to be somebody going in there. I would ask one of my colleagues, I said, can you please go and accompany this inspector? And you have to be there for the duration of. It's not like you open the door, he doesn't know what lockbox to use, and then you go in, and 10 minutes after you go to buy a coffee. No, you cannot leave that property until the guy is finished outside of the door. That's the RICO. It's nothing to do with real estate board. Real estate board is not going to come after you. RICO is coming after you. And they are there for making money and discipline. Now, they never work for us. You paid your dues for them, but they are representing the public, okay? So they are not going to feel sorry for you. If you do a mistake, there will be a charge. And there are a few cases here even that I don't want to mention names. If there was a lease, if this person made the deal in my office, he was going to make only $1,200 gross. That's without Vivian's share. You know what happened? He lost $12,000 to make $1,200. Because the landlord sued us and they won the case and he had to pay $12,000 fine.
What if it's a mortgage guy and he also has a real estate license?
Yes, registered real estate person doing two things, yes, but you have to verify with the company that he is registered. I am a mortgage broker, but I also work for Home Life. And I say, I need to go in. I say, no, this agent, well, I am also licensed under the real estate business act. I say, okay, which office are you registered? Home Life. I get the number, I can verify. As long as you're licensed, then you are allowed to get it. Unlicensed people are not, is mine? Yes. Okay, thank you. How are you?
Sorry.
Nice to see you.
It's, thank you.
Yeah. So,
If I can have some.
oh yeah, I will give you everything after because we didn't make copies. We are trying to save some
I
trees.
thought they all have.
Yeah, no,
So
we are
sorry.
trying to save
Okay,
some.
okay.
Donald Trump didn't agree with the green and stuff, so I said I was listening to the
It's
debate.
okay, no have to, I just
Yeah.
need this.
So we have to have somebody licensed always present until the inspection is finished. Now that's in here. Now what happens in a case? The seller says, I don't really care. Now some sellers will say, I want both of you here. I want the selling agent and the listing agent. Now when you are taking a listing, don't forget one thing. People work outside, coffee shops, pizzerias, for the money that we ask or we try to get, okay, it used to be 5 or 6, now maybe it's around 4. Some people have to work half a year to make that money. Now, why do we have to really question, do you really want me, you know? Yeah, for sure. If my seller is going to say, Gregory, I'm listing it with you, but we are a little bit of picky people. I don't want anybody coming in and out without me, you know, for inspections and you know, mortgage verifications or appraisal. I don't only want him, I want you too. I have to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, for sure I'm going to be here, okay? It says right there, if you have this form number 208, and use it on every listing, buyer agent doesn't have to use this because he is not the one responsible. So if you have this form, if the seller is requiring your presence with the buyer agent because he has the inspector, you have to be there. If the seller is saying, I don't care who's here, it's the buyer agent for inspection, it's the buyer agent for the appraisal, or anything else. Visits. A buyer cannot go to the property directly without anybody. Okay, if the buyer agent is busy, one of the company members have to be there, licensed. You cannot let a buyer to walk in a house with a lockbox or, hello, we are the buyers, our agent couldn't make it if we have a visit today because in a week we are closing, this is our list. You can. Buyers and sellers cannot be unless everything is erased, unless the seller writes down that I am okay here. I don't need you, I don't need you. The buyer can come anytime by appointment. The appraiser can come anytime and give the lockbox. There is no such seller that is going to tell you. Okay, but unless you have in writing that. Yes, question.
The same day, the inspection for the seller should be signed.
Who?
When they should the seller sign?
They should sign this the day you are getting the listing.
The listing?
Yes, because this is related to the listing. You know what's going to happen? When you are representing this or presenting this to the seller the day of the listing, you're hoping that it's going to sell soon. And then there is going to be inspection, there is going to be appraisal, there is going to be visits, right? So you have to have this. Yeah, so you should have it, yes.
If a seller has a tenant, what happens?
That's a little bit different situation. We'll go back on that. Okay, remind me. We'll go back on that. Referral. We are dealing Niagara Falls, Hamilton, Kingston. How many of us exactly know this market? Today, a property sold in Oshawa, $550,000, and they were saying it's a good deal. Now, if I don't know the area, do I really know if it's a good deal or not? And I have a buyer. She wants to buy a property. I am taking her. I say, Eva, this is the best deal, and there is another one next door. Is it really a good deal? I don't know. This could be closer. Maybe you know the area, Scarborough, North York. The only time you know for sure it's a good deal, you have to know the area. I'm not suggesting Oshawa is too far. Everything is on the computer. I'm giving you as an example. Your buyer agency is done for GTA, right? Now GTA goes too far now. Until Lake Simcoe is not GTA. It's not like North York and Richmond Hill and downtown. So you got to be careful that with the GTA world, don't try to be professional everywhere in Ontario. There are referral forms. For Royal LePage referral, we have different forms. For outside of Royal LePage, Remax or a different company, we have this form. Unless you know the area very well, whether listing or now, I wouldn't know London or I will know Windsor. Now, I had an agent here, he said, I'm going to show this weekend on Windsor. It's a 4-hour drive on a normal day. It's a 7-hour drive like yesterday. Would I really go to show a property 7 hours and come back, or 5 hours and come back? And she doesn't like the property, I have to go next week again. The property value is $425,000. I mean, I'm not prejudiced. I like $10 to $100,000, but you have to weigh your time, your gas, your accident level, driving, and problems. Now, why would I go there to show a problem? Or they only bother why with me. Well, I'm not a Windsor agent. I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing, showing them that problem. Okay, municipality laws could be different. So what I would do, I would refer it. Rule of thumb, 25%. You can negotiate 30. I send even 35 if it's an easy deal. The same thing with listings. Why would I go to list something in there that I cannot even service? You still need an area agent to do open house. If you are in Toronto, how are you going to do open house in London or on Windsor? These are the things that you have to consider. Okay, it's a good form to be working with.
When you do referral, who is accountable if something happens?
Well, anything is the company is handling it. Your name is not there. But one thing you have to be careful, Shala, one thing you have to be careful that all parties to this are aware that you're receiving referral. If I'm going to refer you to somebody in London, okay, and either a buyer or seller, my person that I'm referring, the client that I'm referring, they should know that at the end of the day, I will receive 25%. It's like selling a brand new condo. It's the same thing. You stay in the lineup, and those people are not stupid. The agents there, they want to sell without you, so they look good to the builder. They don't make as much money, but they don't give a discount to the buyer if they go alone. It's a broker's program, right? But your buyer must know that by introducing them to this condominium project, you're getting paid. Very simple. You cannot hide this, and then they find out in the future that you got paid 25%, which is 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever, and they did not know. Therefore, there is everybody's, see the name, seller or buyer, they have to know. I would get their initial on it. Yes. Who is responsible? The company who's getting responsible. You are not. I am giving a referral.
By getting 25%.
To you, I'm not, because they cannot sue me. I didn't do the job. I refer them to Remax or Home Life or Century 21 in in Windsor. They did the listing, they sold it. If there was a leaky basement that they didn't notice or whatever, they can come after me, but I don't think I have any obligation to worry about.
Should I get any information from the other agent?
No.
Or
Nothing. Once this is signed by the manager, and if it's a company that it will survive the closing, I mean, these days I heard that again, few small companies are going, because of the market condition. So if it's a company that is surviving, you shouldn't have any problem.
And
Yes.
in regards to commission, do the clients have to know the amount you get?
Well, yes, of course. You will say 25%. You don't have to give a price, dollar value. You say, we have a referral program. You don't have to say that I'm going to give you somebody and I'm going to get money. There is a referral program. From Windsor or London or Kingston, we get people that we show over here because the area agent is not familiar with Richmond Hill area. And when we have people like this, we know people over there that we work together. There are big companies and we know them. We are affiliated with them, or we are working with these people years and years, which is true. Okay, the referral program has been, years and years. So you say, I will refer you to one of the best agents in the company. And what I would do, I would call the broker of record or the manager. I will say, who's one of your productive agent in, okay? There could be 200 people, but maybe 50 of them really full-time. I would choose one of those, and I would tell the manager, I'm sending you a referral paper. Please accept, sign it, and send it back to me. Once you get this, you're done. That's it. And there is nothing wrong by your buyer or seller knowing that there is a 25%.
No, because in new construction, there's not a single agent who's saying how much money they're making.
Well, you know what? I sold my cousin.
And they tell me to zip it.
I tell them, I don't know, this is me, I'm very transparent. I told my cousin, they were buying next building to me, mine at downtown. I said, by me introducing you there, you're not paying more. They have to be there. And I have Miriam in Cove, and I've been dealing with her for all this new condos. I said, she can verify that. Miriam, are they paying $1 more because I am here? She says, no, whether you come tomorrow or by yourself. Now I said, by you buying from here, I will make referral fee. And I said, you want to know how much? My cousin said, no, I don't really care. I said, I tell you, I'm making 4%. One now, after 90 days, another one when the building is half, another 2 on closing. But that money really doesn't affect your purchase. I said it. Maybe some people say we make money, but how much? Okay, look at this one now, listing agreement. We all know there are not too many changes or no changes at all. There is only one change. Can you notice it? You're going to be surprised now when I tell you. You're going to be surprised. Everybody used this yesterday, and you don't remember, probably. Pardon? Listing agreement, either condo or freehold. What do you see that it was not there before? Let me find my copy. You can see it. No, I see it with no glasses. Believe me, I see it. I see it with no glasses that there is something added there.
One extra initial, yeah.
Yes. Okay, do you remember this being there before?
No.
No? You only had that if you are signing more than 6 months. Okay, this is very good again, but we have to use it. It's not a choice. So that initial represents like the buyer agency, that you are verifying with your initial that you are not a party of to another broker. They made this because there was a case at the court that some of these changes are very, very logic. And I tell you, by doing that, you did your job. Now, if the seller is in trouble, not you, because of course, you have to read the contract. You're not going to say that initial here, initial here, initial here, and here is a copy. They have to know what they are initially. So they may have a exclusive listing with somebody else. Exclusive listings are as good as MLS listing. The only thing you don't see them. It's only given to the agent and their company. And most of us, we used to keep them in the pocket, not even the company. Here we have a broker Bayna, it's advertised. All days, nobody knew except me that I have this. I would show it, I would sell it, and bring it there, and that's it. Now, there is MLS, there is exclusive. If I sign as a seller yesterday or a month before, another brokerage, exclusive listing, I cannot list with you until the expiry date of that listing on MLS or exclusive. So this happened a few times. Customer services, no problem. You can have 10 a day, and that is not really. But here it says you are not a party to another brokerage, that you haven't signed one of this, okay? So by doing that, if there is an issue, you clear yourself because the seller lied to you or he didn't know that he signed, okay? So that's a good one. And we have this now on so many other forms.
Gregory, you gave a very good example. Sign here, initial here. When they sign now electronically, can they claim that they didn't read it through?
If they sign on
Electronically, on a, like,
they
document
shouldn't
sign
claim because they had the opportunity.
to read.
They have it. They can print it if they want. They cannot really come after you saying that you didn't explain. How am I supposed to explain? You have the form in front of you, electronic signature. You can print it, send it to your lawyer, or send it to your accountant, whoever, if it's a commercial. Then let them approve it, and then you sign. They can. But I am against one thing. When you are face to face with them, and listen, I don't want to put any finger on anybody. It does not happen here so many times or too much. It happens outside. Let's assume that. I have heard complaints. I'm not saying all buyers or sellers are 100% correct. They are lying. But again, there are some is correct. They say, I did not even know what the hell I'm signing. It was like a 5-minute initial here, initial there, and then I got a copy of it. Again, he is responsible, or they are responsible, because you cannot, I shouldn't go anybody sign here, sign there, and say, okay, I signed it. Well, take your time, say, I'm not signing anything. I'm not signing anything. Until I have an hour, or you go one by one. Now, in order to satisfy a buyer or a seller, first of all, do we have the knowledge of every clause we are reading? They have sometimes multiple representation. Why did they change the dual agency to a multiple representation? Before it used to be dual agency, do we know? No. So there are so many things in there. I'm not saying I know all of them. I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but at least things that are important, like the irrevocable dates, holdover clause, they have to know the meaning of that. Maybe Family Law Reform Act. I'm not going to comment on that. That's really nothing to do. Or non-residency. I should tell them you are a resident, right? Yeah, I have their license. But if a person is buying non-residence, when they're going to sell, they're going to pay 25% holdback tax. Is this your first property? No, this is my second. Are you going to be living there? I'm going to rent. So you know that when you sell it, there is a capital gain. So these are simple things I think I should go over with the buyer or a seller. If I'm not doing this, well, I'm making $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 depending. Do I really deserve that? Now, I'm not talking like a lawyer or real estate board manager. I am one of you here, but I think we don't do sometimes enough. sign here, sign there, and people signing, but what they are signing. That's a bit of issue we have with some of us, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing everybody, but there is.
One quick question. What I have done with some of the listers, I have sent them the simple where it explains, you know, the word, documents explained. That's what I sent first before I met them. But I was told also that's something what you don't do. But I thought it makes it so much easier to have time to read it. And then when I met them, I got them to sign it. But I was told, don't do that.
Don't do that. You have to be there. Well, I don't like to send the stuff before because other people may interfere with a different explanation. Then you're contradicting yourself. I prefer that I do that introduction to them.
But when they are not present with me,
when they are not present with you, if like she was telling me, electronic signature, they cannot come after you because they had the opportunity. And I would tell them, please read, you know, all the necessary stuff, your pricing, your closing and stuff, then make sure that you understand and sign it. The conditions, they have to know what they are signing and how many days. It's their responsibility if it's electronic, nothing I can do, okay? Now, Lina, I'm gonna go back one page because you just came in, I know you were gonna be late. This is a listing agreement, the newest version. And I was asking everybody, do they notice anything? Most people didn't. There is a new initial here that they are not a party. Remember on buyer agency agreement, we have a circle that you have to initial. They put on almost every form that now they created. It's a brand new initial place, just that you know. Okay, amendment, Schedule A. Sometimes we don't have enough stuff and we try to squeeze in agreement, listing agreement. The board says, and Rico says, or Ria says, you cannot touch clauses in the agreement. You shouldn't. Everything is done properly. If you have any additions or subtract, you should put it on Schedule A. And another piece of advice, today we went to get a listing and we signed it. Everything is good. Everybody got a copy. And then we came to the office. Tonight we noticed while we are broker loading it, or tomorrow morning, that there are no appliances. We forgot they were going to leave it, or they were not supposed to leave it, but it's there. This is me. I would not attempt to call the seller and say that, you know what, we didn't put the, oh, don't worry, put them in. Or come back and I initial. No, I have to have an amendment to do this. You do by amendment. There are amendments created for this reason. You don't know after you left how many people have a copy of that listing. Maybe they fax one or email to their lawyer, one to their son-in-law, another one to the next door neighbor. We don't know. So now by going and initialing your old one, that can create a problem if they reproduce another one on closing day. So amendment. You're going to go there anyway for an initialing. Why not take an amendment with you and put now included in the purchase price, free stove washer, dryer, and dishwasher that you had forgotten. Very simple. So don't use initialing and contract. The same with the offer. There is a mistake after the irrevocable date, even worse. Even worse. Oh, I forgot to put this and there is a mistake on the name. Can I just go and initial it? No. The answer is no, you should not do that. Amendment. Okay, this one here, you were asking. This one replaces SPIS. It's not replacing, it's a different form. Now, the difference with SPIS, as you know, Bob Aaron, our real estate lawyer, he says, under no circumstances you should sign SPIS, seller's property information, that it can get you in trouble, yet it can get you out of the trouble. It depends what side of the fence you are. So that one has signatures and initials. This one does not have any signature. It's just an information for listing brokerage. You don't have to give this to the buyer broker. You don't have to show it nowhere. It's just you that you know about the property. This is 4 pages, by the way. I know most people don't even want to use it, but I was introduced to this and I'm introducing to you. Some people are still using SPIS, and I'm not suggesting don't, but if you have a good case, insurance case, Real Page or Rico Insurance always prefers SPIS to follow. Because when you have an SPIS and the seller filled it properly, initialed it and signed it, it could take you out of a problem if there something was not there, or it was there and then seller, was not telling the truth. So this one is not as strong as that. This is just an info, okay? And it's a new form, brand new form.
What number is it?
I will tell you right now, 820.
Thank you.
Residential information checklist. So by filling this, you're not going to tell nobody. It's for your file. At least you did your preliminary questionnaire to the seller. Do you have any mold in the basement, or did you have any water leak? Now, what happens? I bought a house years ago. 3 years ago, I had a flooded basement. That happens to most houses. It's normal. Look at the ice is melting. Now, I called the company. They fixed it. Everything is okay. For the last 3 years, I have not even a drop of water. If this came to me, I would say that, yeah, there was a water issues in my basement. I fixed it, and here is the receipt. I called the company. They did the waterproofing. Now it's okay. Why would I lie about that? Because neighbors will tell them anyway. So now I did my duty. Now the agent knows, and he will either relay that information or he would keep it. But this is not a public information. Yes, you were asking me something.
That's what I was gonna go on, exactly what you're explaining
Yeah.
now. So the seller fills that in, and it's just for yourself to keep. And if he says he had a flooded basement, but we have to disclose that, so what do? You seem not to say anything, but.
If it's fixed, Lina, you don't have to worry about it. If it's fixed. Now you go there and there is this much water in the basement. You think I'm stupid? I'm not going to disclose that, or the buyer agent is not going to see it. Why would I put my neck under a guillotine for $10,000-$20,000 and they're going to sue me? I would tell them. I said, until this is done, I cannot hide it. Or if there was a mold, they just scrape it and they painted on it. If I notice it, if I don't, they have a home inspection anyway, right? So I have to be careful that I see stuff, I have to note it, and then I have to be careful that what is important for me to reveal, what is not. Yeah, that's my job, okay? So this is the form. Agreement to lease. We're gonna spend a little bit of time on this. There are not too many changes. Again, very basic stuff for lawyers. Now, there is a new form as of April of 2018. We are still using this, but there is a change in here now. Some clauses that we had in, this is a pre-printed ORIA form. Some clauses that there was in, they took it out. You know which one was that? Once this is signed, it becomes a list. There was a paragraph. There is no more. You cannot even use that anymore, whether edition or pre-printed. You have to take that out, okay? This is now revised 2019. It's the brand new form. If you have anything in your briefcase, get rid of it. There are a couple other changes for the benefit of the tenant, but the most important is that this does not make a lease. This is an offer to lease. You negotiate your stuff. 90% of the stuff here will be copied to the new standard form. And while we are on the subject, the standard form is not your responsibility. It's not office responsibility. It's the responsibility of the landlord. But having said that, nobody is telling you not to help the landlord. But you don't have to come to the office to Brenda or to your, can you fill this out? They're gonna say no, because they are not landlords. They are working here. They don't know the house. They don't know the rules. Brenda doesn't know it. Brenda types only what you give it to. And that's not part of Brenda's or my job or your job even. But if I have a landlord and she has a problem understanding it, or she is an older person, or I need to help her for given reason, I will help her. That's by choice, okay? I will help her. The buyer or the tenant, they don't have to do it. And the tenant agent, they cannot force you to do it. It's the landlord within 21 days. From when? 21 days start when?
From the acceptance, from the closing.
From the closing, from the acceptance, from when? Okay, there are 2 dates there. They are both available. Now, you accept this firm acceptance. You can do it within 21 days. Maybe your closing is sooner than 21, that's fine. Or it's a 3 month closing, you don't do anything. It actually has to be done from the date that your list starts. If my list is starting April 1st, nobody can push me to do it earlier than that. Okay, it's up to me. If I want to do it now as a landlord, I do it. If I don't, because you have to go to the tenant. In reality, it says landlord fills this out, goes to the tenant for a signature, and he signs it and gives a copy after. Now, before the closing, you don't even know the tenant. You have to deal with the real estate agent. There is nothing wrong as long as everybody is agreeing to do that. But the best time, you move in, you got 21 days. Now, do you know the penalty? Anybody knows the penalty?
I do.
You do. Okay.
They have to pay for 1 month rent.
You learned that from me yesterday. You know that, right? Now,
It took me a whole month to-
there is a penalty attached to this standard form. If a tenant emails you, text message you, most of the time phone calls are accepted, but not always. I have to have something in writing. I usually do in real estate, and that proves it to the tribunal. Today is the moving date. I moved in. Tomorrow, I text message or email the landlord saying that, as per the new government rules, you have 21 days as of yesterday. Today, you have 20 days to bring me the new list signed for my signature. Okay? You prove this. This landlord does not even call you, or he is not here, or he doesn't care. Now, you want to do one more email? If I am a gentleman, I will do it. I mean, I want to keep very good relationship with my landlord. I will do it, but I'm not saying anybody has to do it as a tenant. Let's say I did one more time, or I didn't. 21 days go by. I am allowed to keep 1 month rent free, not as a payment again. It's a penalty. If your rent is $3,000 and a month after you didn't get this done, the actual form, you can hold 1 month rent and don't pay forever. That's yours to go to Florida or Bahamas. And nobody can sue you for that because that's the law from landlord and tenant. Just that you know, if you are representing a landlord, it has to be done. All right?
21 days start comes when.
If it's not done while you are dealing firm offer, it's moving date. Yeah, it's your closing date. Okay.
I have seen some agents attach the form to the listing.
You are not under obligation to do anything until it's accepted anyway, and it's firm acceptance. Why would you do that all this if there is a credit check or other stuff, right? You don't want to waste your time.
So if it is a tenant, what do I guide him if I represent the?
If you are a tenant, you say there are new rules and regulations. You know.
The agent, I tell.
Yeah. You say you're gonna ask your landlord to fill the new form and bring it to you for your signature. If you call him, not call him, if you write to him or text him, if he doesn't, there is a penalty of whatever 1 month rent.
It is our responsibility to let the landlord know
But
that there's a new Ontario way.
have I said that you shouldn't? You have to know. Of course, you're representing the landlord under your listing. So you have to tell him. You must tell the landlord that either you get somebody to do it, like somebody knows how to fill this, or you have to sit down and do it. And there are some stuff that it does not correspond or agree with this. Okay? Tempo stated checks. They are not in the new legislation. They are not in the new law. First and last month rent, no. Key deposits are only limited how much the key costs. FOB. If I am giving this, and this is $75 from a condo to open the door, recreation room and stuff, I cannot charge $300 for this. $75 only. If you are giving other things, underground parking, post office, and the total is $150, $175. You cannot charge legally $300. Now, don't lose a deal if you are on the buyer's tenant side, accept everything. Doesn't matter. Because the other listing agent is going to say, oh, my seller wants this, my landlord wants it, or else they are not going to rent it. Accept everything. After you move in, you can say you owe me $200 because I know this key costs only $75. You charge me $300. They have to pay you back. 100%. They have to pay you because it's not in the law. They cannot overcharge you. Okay? The key is $5. You can charge $25. Why? I'm renting a house, man, not a condo.
What he can return at end of contract.
Consent?
End of contract.
End of contract?
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year after you get a deposit. That's a deposit. But why would you overpay? I am asking now. This is not a condo. It's a house, and I'm giving to my tenant 2 keys. I don't have anything else. Okay? And a garage door opener. Let's say 2 keys of the front door are $5 each, and garage door is opener is another $20. So it's now $30. How much should I charge? $30. No, I can charge 50 or maybe 60. Why? Tell me. You are allowed some little bit extra money for your
Yes.
time, inconvenience and time that you're gonna go to the hardware store. You're gonna get. Now, if the key was lost and there is no master key, you're gonna get a locksmith that could be charged because they lost the key. I mean, these are all reasonable stuff, right? So I cannot charge 300, but I can charge for a $5 key, $25 because I'm gonna leave my office, go to Home Depot, wait there, and then get it, and then that's very reasonable. Not a 300, but $20. Okay?
My landlord, he actually went online. He took the cost of the garage door opener,
Well,
and he took the cost from the post office,
Yeah.
how much the mail key was.
There you
It was
go.
$24.95.
yeah, well,
And
there
he
you
actually
go.
sent it to me, to send it to the tenants agent, so that they have it right there, the cost is right there.
Exactly. So all these things are done properly. Tempo stated checks. Very touchy, always there is an issue with that. Now, we are trying to change our cheat sheets for clauses, and we have to send it to maybe a rental lawyer to see if everything is complying, okay, in a few days or a week or two, whatever. If there is a tempo stated check with no attachment, nothing in it, tenant, after moving in, he can refuse to give it to you. If they are smart tenants and they know the new rules and regulations. But if you say, for the convenience of the tenant agrees to offer willingly, tempo stated checks, he cannot cancel it. Because he agreed it's a convenient for him. Voluntarily, convenient. So you cannot cancel it. Because he's signing that it's convenient for me to give it, or else I have to go to the bank and get money order every month or wire it to you. I don't understand those stuff. I'm not a computer guy. I cannot transfer wiring and this and that. I don't want to pay on my Visa, for example. So it's a convenient. Now, first and last month, what is the way out? They say you are only supposed to give to the other party 1 month rent, not 2 months anymore, or not first and last. That's not available. That's not acceptable. But we all do it. Why? Security? No. Nobody does it for security. Huh? Not that too. There is something more important. Why do we do first and last month? What happens if there is only 1 month?
To make it sure that they gotta stay whole the year.
No, because
If
if
there's
the
only 1
tenant,
month, Gregory.
If it's only, yes.
doesn't pay the rent, we
No.
can.
Nothing has to do with it. You can cancel it. What difference does it?
Gregory, if it's only 1 month, then the first month doesn't get paid. So the reason you ask for first and
No.
last.
Let me tell you this. Yes, commission. But there is another thing to it. Yes, 100%. Yeah. Let me tell you what happens. You give the 1 month rent. It's not saying that you are not supposed to give it. You are only asked to give 1 month, first month. When you are moving in, then you give the other month. Okay? The landlord is still taking 2 months. One now, one on the closing date, which is April, let's say. Okay, April or March 1st. I am going to move in. Before I get the keys, I have to give to the landlord what? Insurance. If not, I haven't given yet. Okay? That I insure the property, content, and liability. And I have to give to the landlord the last month check, okay, preferably certified or money order, okay, and then whatever, and the landlord is going to give me the keys, all right? But what's happening now with 1 month rent? If you don't have the second month, you are short on commission. Why? HST. Now, we used to know that there is $3,000, 50-50 with the other brokerage, but there is $3,000 plus HST. We created a clause, actually it was a lawyer suggesting that landlord agrees to pay to royalty, pay your community realty on closing or a day before closing, the amount of HST that are applicable on commission. Have we ever got that? No. Who's collecting that? No vendor, no landlord gonna come to your door and give you the HST here. I owe you $300. You know, that was very difficult. So we try to get 2 months rent. How? We say tenant agrees to submit 2 months rent, not first and last month. To be used first for the first and last month. Tenant agrees though, not the landlord is asking.
So if an offer comes in, if you're on the landlord side, and an offer comes in from the tenant's agent, then, and they're giving you for so long.
I would take that, I would take it out. No, I would take it out and rephrase it. I wouldn't say, no, I don't want it. I would rephrase it, the tenant willingly offering 2 months rent. I wouldn't say first and last month, okay? In lieu of first and last month, I would put that word and that covers it.
But then the form says first and last.
You go, which form is that? This form?
Yeah.
No,
That-
this form has it. They didn't change it. Oria didn't change it. I would rephrase it. Tenant agrees to offer 2 months rent in lieu of first and last month. He is offering willingly, okay? So that takes you away from the problem. Yeah.
I didn't do that.
It's okay. Next time. There is always a next time.
For the previous topic, can you explain more with the example about 21 days?
21 days? Okay. 21 days,
Example.
there is a new form from government. It's about 7 pages and plus the schedules that what is it for, okay? It tells you about the post-dated check. It tells you about the first and last month. It tells you about the keys, okay? And then you are allowed how much more money within reasonable time. It tells you all these things. And insurance, now there is only content insurance, not liability. You cannot force it, but they are accepting it, okay? It's not a big issue now. So seller, landlord has 21 days, either from the firm acceptance of this or the latest from the moving day. If the contract is closing on the April 1st, you got 21 days until April 21 to get that one signed by the tenant and leave a copy.
That form is not one of the OREA
It's
form.
not OREA form, it will never be OREA form. You know why? It's a government.
Okay.
The government created it. OREA or Korea or real estate board did not create that. It's a law of a government.
So no matter tenant ask for or not, you as a landlord, you still need to provide it.
Exactly.
So let's say it's a tenant, they move in and didn't ask
You
for
still
the
have to
form.
provide it.
And after a month, and they said, no, you didn't give me the form, so
Yes,
this
They
month I
can,
not
they
pay.
can come after you. Very good idea. Yes. Okay. Now, these are the signature schedule A's. Landlord and landlord customer service, brand new form. The landlords were jealous because the sellers have a customer service, they have listing services, and landlord didn't have it. If you are canvassing or if you have a landlord that said, I don't want to sign anything on MLS, this is a brand new form. It's a customer service. You get your 1 month rent regardless. But you got to be careful again that they are not a party of another brokerage. Okay, that's always there now. Every form. It's a very basic. If you know seller's customer service is identical to that. And it's 2 pages, 3 pages. Everybody gets their copy. The Schedule A, if you want to add anything. Buyer representation agreement, authority for lease, purchase or lease, okay? Now, this is one of them. This is our old one, but they revised it. Okay, revised 2019. As you know, you have to have this if you're representing your buyer as a client. Tenant representation agreement for lease and purchase. The other one is for purchase and lease. This is for lease and purchase. That means they are both valid. But if I'm dealing with a tenant, I would use this one. If I'm dealing with the seller, buyer, I would use the other. Because
This is brand new.
this is brand new. It's a new 2019. All right. Now they have their own clauses in there because tenancy is different, the commission is different. Obviously, on that one you put 2.5%. On this one you put 1 month rent. All right, or half month rent, whatever your going for. Never leave it empty, never leave it blank. Here, the commission must be. There are so many people using this form, and then we have an issue, we don't get paid, or the buyer or the tenant goes with somebody else. They come and say, how can I get the money? I check it, I say, you won't get anything. Why not? I said, because you put zero there. Or as per MLS, don't use. No as per MLS, no as zero. If you're gonna put zero, give the guy a break, don't get it signed. Then you're wasting your paper.
This one, when you work with the buyer, yes?
Or tenant. There are two forms now. One is for the buyer, one is for the tenant. This is a brand new one. Schedule A again. Every form has a Schedule A. Amendment to tenant representation agreement. You see all these new forms? Did we need it? Personally, I don't think so. Because if you are classifying on your purchase buyer representation to purchase or lease, why don't you put a couple things maybe extra and then don't create a new form? Nah, this is the brand new one. It's amendment. Nah. Remember the amendment to the listing agreement? Let's say you change price, you do this, you do that. This one represents that. Cancellation of tenant representation agreement. Another new form. But they're gonna force us to use this thing though. It's not like you can look at it and say, you know, if you have a case and you go to arbitration, you go to ethics. I've been there many, many times, not for me, for the company. And believe it or not, there is 7 people. First of all, there is a mediator. You go in and you don't have nobody. They take you in one room. They put the other party in another room with the agent, manager, or broker of record. And the mediator is like a movie maker. He goes there and he comes here. He says, listen, you have a very good case, but this guy has all the paperwork, whatever. He tried to convince that you should settle it maybe 50-50. You're going for 100%. The other guy is saying, no way, not even $1. So they try to mediate. It's like a small claims court. If you come to an agreement, you sign a waiver, everybody happy, get out and shake it. If you don't, then it goes to the hearing. That is the real day. They're gonna check everything. Whatever you have in your pocket or in your file, you have to send it to them. And it better be good. Like working with a realtor, they're gonna look for that. Buyer agency, paperwork, amendments and waivers, everything. And your story, what are you saying? What did it happen? So everything is there. They're going to be 6 or 7 people or 6 people plus a chair. You have a chance to explain yourself, and your manager can defend you, and then the other party. If you don't have the strong paperwork, you lost, even you were 100% right, because you have to prove that you did all that. If by me saying it, oh, she came with me for 3 months, and she promised to do this, but I don't have nothing to prove that. They go with the paper. So these papers, the forms that I am showing it to you today, if you want to use them, you must, it's not a matter of choice, you have to use them. One day, if there is an issue, and it's not even your fault, but you have to try to convince the other party that you did everything right, they're going to open your file. Without this, Jack, me, Karen, nobody can really do anything. You know, it doesn't really matter. So, assignment, tenant representation agreement, did we need this too? Well, there is another form, because there is one assignment for the buyer representation. Tenant customer service. It's like a buyer customer service. They don't want to sign buyer agency, then they have to sign this and make sure initial here. Before, I used to advise initial here and there. Now, there is a space. Schedule A again to this, specifically to this. Amendment to tenant customer service agreement. You have to amend it maybe once in a while. I don't know, when do you amend the customer service anyways? If you get it, you get it, and then within a week, it expires. And we have the clauses here that I'm just gonna cover most important ones. It's a pay the balance of the purchase price, as everybody knows. Pay a further sum. In our days, we never used the balance of the purchase price. It was always the further sum and the balance as a mortgage. Deposit, increase. This is a good topic. Let's talk about it. $1 million home, they want minimum 5%. So it's $50,000. $2 million home, they want minimum 5%, $100,000. Most of the buyers of $2 million home, obviously, they should have $100,000 or 50 for sure. But what happens, you're putting conditions, and one of the condition doesn't go through, you have $200,000 invested there. It takes sometimes longer than regular. You think by signing mutual release, next day you're gonna get the money. That doesn't happen all the time. Mortgage issue, whether it's honest or not, they change their mind, they see another house while it's conditional. This is happening a lot. Again, not from our agents, but I keep hearing it. Or inspection issue, they try to find something. Fine, that's fine, they say right, we cannot take it again. And start a certificate, always. So you have 100,000, 200,000 invested there. In the meanwhile, there is another property that you saw on the open house and you want to buy that. But now you don't have another 200,000. That's also $2 million. Okay? You have to wait for this money, 200,000 to come. And it's taking a little bit of time. Some sellers say, that guy, I don't like him because he was playing game with me. I know he didn't qualify because he didn't want to qualify. And the condition is very basic. You have to sign the mutual release. They delayed. Today, tomorrow, the guy is away, the wife is sick, whatever. So now there is a delay. You cannot buy this house because you don't have another, your buyer doesn't have another $200,000. I would advise this. It doesn't work all the time. On a multiple offer, I don't think it's going to work because they have other choices, and you should go unconditional if you can afford it. I'm not suggesting that everybody should go unconditional, provided that the buyer signs those forms. Okay, the 127 is the number. So what I would suggest is this: I wouldn't put $200,000 on a property that has been on the market for a month, 3 weeks, and they are desperate to sell. I will go with a good offer, whatever, with the condition. I would put maybe $20,000. Now, who would accept the $20,000 deposit and a $200,000? But there is this. I would say buyer agrees to pay $180,000 further deposit upon removal of the condition. I have never found a problem with that, because you are still saying in 5 days I'm going to give you $180,000. By doing that, it says upon removal of condition. If the conditions are not removed, you have $180,000 to go to another house. You are waiting for 20 or 10 or 30, whatever it is. If the conditions are not removed, that's what it is. You're waiting for your mutual release to be honored. Okay. If they are removed, next day you give another $180,000 or $150,000, whatever the original deposit was supposed to be. It's a good clause to be used, and you don't have to beg the listing agent or the seller to send that money because you are going on another property. Condition on financing. No financing condition should end, or for that matter, any condition should end at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. The earliest should be 10 p.m. Earliest. And what's the reason for that? We lost few deals because of the timing, and one was the $27,000 Vivian is witness right in front of this office. Seller came, we are on the buyer side, seller came over here, he said, my lawyer told me, and that was 4:30 in the afternoon. This is about 5-6 years ago. My lawyer told me if I don't get a waiver in my hand, because he had another buyer, more money, he was praying. And it was a lousy day like yesterday, maybe a little bit better. I don't want to exaggerate. It was a winter month. My lawyer told me if I don't get the waiver in my hand by 5, one after 5, I can nullify the deal. Can he do that or not, first of all? Yes. He has all the right. Because your condition says 5 p.m., 5th business day. All right? Or the 27th of February, 5 p.m., regardless the day. All right? And you know what? The buyer is stuck on DVP, and he's calling the agent. He said, I got everything, but I cannot send it to you. There is no photocopy. There is nothing, you know. So it was 5 after 5. We declared the deal null and void. Agent is no longer with us. They are in California. $27,000 loss because of the hour, nothing else. If they had it 10, 11, 11:59, they would have met each other and get the waiver and email it or bring it in person.
But if you see an issue, Gregory, let's say you leave it for 11:59 on the fifth day.
There is no issue.
There's no issue there, right?
There is no
11:59
issue.
on the
It should be
fifth
not
day.
earlier anyway, but 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I think it's acceptable because nobody gonna be coming late unless there is a big issue, even emergency, we don't know. And the other thing here, I lost my, anyway, so nobody should do that at 7, 6, or 5 p.m. That's one thing. And you don't have to waive the condition until the buyer is 100% delivering it to you. You don't have to go by phone and say, oh, okay, that's it. No, it doesn't work like that. You need the actual paper signed and witness, or if you are not together, then witnessing it doesn't matter. The same thing for this. It's a conditional home inspection. Now, how many types of home inspection we have? This is one, and now I have another one. What's the difference? What's the difference? And when do you use which one? When do you use what? We have it in our cheat sheet. If you go downstairs and pick one up now, you're gonna see. Now, one is a seller's condition, the other one is a buyer's condition. If I am under a buyer representation with a person or a family, I would use the buyer because I am under contract that I'm gonna protect them for everything. Let me see which one is this. Buyer report, buyer sold. Okay, this is a buyer. It says sole and absolute discretion, okay? So that means if I go to the property when I'm inspecting it and somehow I'm changing my mind, I'm cooling down, I see a hair crack, I put that as a reason, I don't buy the house. Nobody can hold my deposit. I don't like this crack. This can happen somewhere else. This can happen upstairs. I didn't like it. There are too many nail pops. That means the construction is no good. I don't have to give reason. I don't like it. Even the inspection comes good. Nobody can hold me. I'm not satisfied. It's like a status certificate. You can never argue with a lawyer or a seller that your status certificate is good. Any lawyer can decline any status certificate, even if $10 million in the reserve fund. You know how they can get out? They say, we did not really like the anticipated budget for next year. According to this, you should have different budget, like government, they are predicting there is going to be, I don't know how many $billion of deficit. So that's like that. They look at it, they say, no, next year's budget should have been like this. Then they decline it. Nobody can take anybody to court saying that, why are you declining this status? There is no guidelines. So the same thing with this. Now, if I'm representing the seller, I would always have this one in my briefcase is schedule A, B, C, D, whatever. Single page, only this. I would replace it. I would scratch the buyer's, thing, and I would put a second page and tell the seller that this is the one I want you to sign because this is remedy. By your own obtaining our report satisfactory to the buyer or report revealing deficiency in the property which the seller is willing and able to remedy. So now this you can hold the buyer if it's a stupid thing that they are giving up.
But if they have conditional finance, doesn't really matter.
Everything being equal, okay? I only give regardless, if there is going to be a deal falling apart, I rather see this one in and fall apart for other thing. And then if I didn't have this, and then I could have hold the buyer responsible. Then the lawyer says, why did your agent accepted this? You see what I'm saying? Again, the lawyer is going to come to blame everything to the agency. Okay, so they are there for that. Condition on obtaining insurance. We don't use this very often unless it's a very old home, copper, there is no copper wiring available, aluminum or Nubenta. So those are the things. Condition upon sale of a property. This could be a popular one these days because people buy, they cannot sell. It's not a very popular condition and it has been forgotten actually. Years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, this was very popular. These days, most agents don't even know how to handle it. There is this, there is that. That cannot be without this, okay? They are like twin brothers, you put them together. You cannot separate these two. It's not fair. If you're selling you know, is not fair for your seller without that. So this is the escape clause you usually use 48 hours to give notice to the buyer. They either firm up or they give up, okay? So that's going to be popular maybe more these days because there is a lot of people buy without selling, so they have to be, I would advise your seller to put this in there. Conditional on release from the previous agreement, the seller being released. So you had a conditional offer, you are on a period with the mutual release, but the seller is somehow under still contract with mutual release has not been, you know, signed. So if you're going to accept another offer for 2 days, I would put this one in. It's conditional for 2 more days until your other deal is cleared without accepting a firm offer or even conditional offer on the buyer's mortgage or something, because the buyer can waive those conditions. Then you get stuck with two buyers, the previous one and this one. Solicitor approval, it's matter of educating, a matter of buyer or selling needing it. You can never say, no, you don't need this. I did everything exactly what I'm supposed to do. No. If they want it, you have to give it to them, that opportunity. I would never refuse to put it in there. Existing survey. This is not a condition, by the way. And if you have a 5-day financing or 5-day inspection, you shouldn't do this for 5 days. You should do this 2 or 3 days. You need this earlier than your financing, earlier than your inspection, unless they say we don't have it. Then you have to deal with it. Now, are title insurances as good as survey? No. Would they cover most of the stuff? Yes. Should you lose a deal without survey? No. Again, many municipalities have surveys for $20, $30, $40. Now they are keeping them. And besides that, we have a surveyor company that with $100 or $150, they have millions of surveys. The one you are looking maybe may not be there, but that's a very slim chance. Okay? So you don't lose the deal because of that. The worst scenario on a $2 million, $1 million, the worst scenario, it will cost you or the buyer $1,500 to get a brand new survey. If there are some additions and stuff, it doesn't really matter. The old survey may not even show it. The only thing I like to have survey if there are any easements or stuff that I don't want to bother the lawyer, but I can go to the city hall, to the Richmond Hill, and then I ask them, they will give me the information. Okay, so this should be 2 or 3 days, and you can ask the seller to give it ASAP. You say, my bank wants it. The mortgage broker needs the survey to verify. Fixtures, chattels, good working order. The word good is not always very popular with some brokerages because they say something is either working or not working. It cannot be not working, but it's good working. It's either broken or not. So good means sometimes creates problem. There is only one thing at the bottom of this. I wonder if everybody knows, and I wonder if there is a trick that we can be tricked. It says 90% of the time when you are asking for extras, it says, in good working order, free from all liens and encumbrances, which has to be there, okay, on completion. So that means if the guy owes money for furnace or dishwasher or the complete package of appliances, it has to be clear. You are asking lawyer that there is nothing registered on the title. But the parties agree that this representation and warranty shall survive and not merge on completion of this transaction, but apply only to the state of the property at completion of this transaction. What does this mean? What does this mean? Why should you accept this, or you want to modify it, or you want to get rid of it, or it doesn't bother you? What does this mean? And I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, we deal with this on a day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month basis.
After that, the seller doesn't have any response.
How do you know that? What makes it like that? Shall survive. Now, if I'm reading that and I'm trying to understand that, it actually gives me the other impression. Look what it's saying. Shall survive and not merge on closing. So that means shall survive and not merge on closing. It's surviving the closing. That means you're guaranteeing that this is going to be working good after closing. That's what it means? No, it doesn't mean that.
At the time of
Eh?
at the time of
There is only one word there. God forbid somebody tricks you taking that word out. Your seller is, yes, your seller is guaranteeing. This is the one, not. If you take that not out and you say shall survive, but it says survive and not merge. If it says survive and merge, your seller is guaranteeing everything for life of the transaction. And I had a deal like that in Pickering. This was about 10 years ago. She came without this. Color Williams. I said, there is a word missing here. I said, either we put that one in or I'm going to take the whole thing out. Like from here. If you are not comfortable, take it out. You can get it away. She said, why? Because she understood the other way around. By putting that is doing a goodness to me. Like by taking that is doing like this. I said, no, that has to be in or the whole thing comes out. There was a big argument. And with the same agent, she was, sorry, I apologize. She was from Royal LePage, but another branch, not our community. She argued with me that we are a dual agent. I said, no, we are not. Yes, we are. I said, call your brokerage. And she did. The manager said, no, we are not. So, because there was like another Royal LePage. So you got to be careful sometimes. If it's not comfortable, remove it. Right to visit, well, very basic. And I told you before, never leave your buyers or sellers alone. You have to be there. You cannot leave buyers or sellers alone on a visit. You have to accompany for the duration of the visit. Right to assign. Again, there is one word over here that gets the buyer, the original buyer, out of the problem, and another one leaves them in the problem. So if you are assigning it here, it should, if I have a seller, I don't want to leave the original buyer free. So in other words, it says assign covenant in the third line in favor of the seller to be bound hereby as buyer. The buyer hereinafter name shall stand release from any further liability hereunder. No, shall not stand free if I am on the seller side, okay? Because if the second buyer doesn't close the deal, who am I going to go after? The first one. Okay? So you have to be careful with those. Change of a completion date, basic. Change of a completion date for the seller, they are mainly the same thing. No illegal activity. Okay, I told you there are 4 new clauses that they are adding. I'm going to give you a brief explanation from this ORIA.
Is the cheat sheets going to be changed, Gregory?
Yes, we are working on it. Okay, there are 4 new clauses that you have to be careful using them. One of them is cannabis buyer acknowledgement. So the buyer agrees that there was a use of marijuana in this house, okay, or apartment. They are agreeing. It's a long clause, so I don't want to read it. If you want to write the heading, you will find it, okay? Cannabis / number 1.
Really, use or grow?
No, use.
Even use?
You're allowed up to 4
Yeah,
grams.
buyer acknowledgement. The buyer acknowledges that the use of property, and buildings and structure here may have been for the cultivation. So use, okay, may have been. Maybe this seller didn't, but previous seller did it. We don't know. So that's one of them, number 1. And cannabis number 2, seller represents and warrants. Okay, that one is he's telling that the seller represents and warrants that during the time the seller had owned the property, the use of the property and the building and the structure thereon has not been. So he's guaranteeing that during the term. So this is the one, if you think that you should have it. And that's number 2, obviously. And there is tenant cannabis restriction. This one here, lease residential number 18. If you're looking in the clauses, the tenant and the occupant of the premises and including without limitation any visitors, guests, and business investees shall not sell, distribute, cultivate, the grow up, the marijuana. That's for that. And then there is another one, seller list residential 19, tenant shall not smoke. Now, this was a question, and the guy had to answer maybe 50 different ways, but again, there was another question after that. How can you prevent it? So this one is saying that tenant shall not use any smoke, like electronic, cigarettes, cigars, any kind of it. Now they say, what happens if it's a medicinal purposes? Obviously, that, you know, there is a bit of issue there. But it says, until it goes to court, I cannot tell you what happens and what not happen. It says, so many things has to happen in order for to set a precedent, right? So right now, it says, these are all brand new, and you use it accordingly. And then it said, if anything changes, then the law dictates whatever happens at the court, then it says you worry about it. Right now, there is not really a straight answer if you can do it or you can. So that's another one. So you can, accordingly now, all the condominiums, they are changing their bylaws that in corridors, balconies, you have to be 9 meter or 9 meter, I think, away from the building in order to smoke. But what happens on a medical purpose, even my property manager couldn't answer that because they don't know.
Good question. I
Yeah.
mean, when we put these clauses into agreement to lease, they have to be all copied over to standard lease.
But in the standard list, they have this actually. For smoking, there are 3 conditions. So, yeah, it's a good question, but the problem is we can't. Like, what happens? You have to put it in. If it's a medical purposes, they have to, you know, even the property manager where I have the condo, they don't have an answer. They may allow for a limited time. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to create a problem for specifically condo owners when they are renting, because bylaws are changed, and you have to give the bylaw to your tenant before closing. Actually, you must have you have to supply a bylaw which is about 150 pages, declaration bylaw. You have to have a copy. It says right in the list, New Ontario list, that you have to supply it, okay? And your question was, I'm sorry, I was interrupted.
If there are any special clauses in agreement to lease, I have to copy them over into standard lease.
Yes, and then you always say landlord and tenant agree. Yeah, because there are some stuff in the lease form, the government form. Smoking is a very elaborated clause. It has 3 sections that the landlord is allergic smoking. Maybe he's gonna move in there one day. Another one is for different reason, and then one is about cannabis. So all different ones. And we have those clauses actually, it's not in here. I asked Celeste to give me a new one, but this is old one, sorry about that. So, we have to have those in there, okay? So this way.
Because the Ontario lease, Gregory, doesn't say anything about cannabis. It only says about cigarette smoking.
Well, if you're gonna have a cookie, I don't think it's gonna bother anybody. It's the smoking that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have your marijuana with cookie or chocolate, I don't think anybody can say that you shouldn't eat this. Smoking is the issue because it travels through the heating system to other places.
So it doesn't matter whether it's marijuana or tobacco.
Tobacco, yes, smoking by tobacco. If you're gonna chew the tobacco like baseball players, I don't think there is an issue. It's the smoking is the issue. Okay? That's all there is to it. Well, if there is any question, I am here for 10 more minutes, but try to be careful because our aim, our goal is to make sure that we don't get too many letters from RICO complaint and stuff. And by doing these classes, hopefully we are achieving, like there is smaller stuff, but sometimes that small issue becomes a big issue on closing or after closing. And there are new forms we all have to adapt and use them, whether we like them or not. We are in this business. We are licensed. We cannot say, I don't like that form. If you have to use it, you have to use it. This is my advice. If you can get away with it, but there are not too many forms that you can get away with it. They only left maybe about 5 old ones without touching it, which is like mortgage verification. Thank God they didn't touch that. We use a lot. I don't know. I never used that form. But everything else is almost revised or brand new. Any particular question?